Okay, now let's continue. Okay, so let me, we are going to close this file, but before we close, let me go back to this, from the start again. Okay, so if you want to create the work program, first thing that you need to do is basically you do the setting, click on option, you do setting for a few things that I already show you. For instance, in terms of the currency symbol, in terms of schedule, when basically the project start, and then what year, and then what could be the duration for the day, etc., etc. And then at the end of the day, you will click to advance, save, you click every 10 minutes, and then trust setting, you click at the trust setting center, legacy format, allow, and then there you go. Okay, that would be the first thing first. And then second is basically project start date, click on project information. So you start project on first day, January 2022 next year, then click OK. And then you change working time calendar, make sure, for instance, next year, click on next year calendar, and make sure you change Saturday and Sunday as working time. How to do that? You can click on work week and then detail, okay, and then you choose all the days, set days according to this time, 8 to 12, 1 to 7, click OK, then you should be there. And then that will be the first thing that you need to do, the setting up. And then you can start copying into from your Excel into task name, duration, and then predecessor at the same time. Uh, and then next one is basically WBS. You indent or group them according to um, example, site work, foundation work, and then close out first, and then group them under zone A, zone B. So you should get the same kind of WBS as mine. All right. Then uh, you input the resources. So the resources already in the Excel sheet. So you input, except our resources. Initially, this one is basically 14. Okay, 14. But then when you assign resources at the end of the day, then only you see this red button there, but then you can change into 16 because we already know the issue. Okay. Once you input into resource sheet, this information, then you need to go to resource name and then assign resources. How do you do that? You click on each of the item, go to resources, assign resources, then you select. But since we already have all the resources in the Excel sheet, so you just can copy paste into the right row, you should get the same result. Okay, after you do that, you notice that the cost will be generated. Okay, but there are some of the item basically missing in cost, which basically shown in my Excel sheet here, indicate on the yellow color there. So you input these missing costs, the cost, into the Microsoft project by going into the resource, the cost table under the fixed cost column. You notice that this one, let me color that. Let's say we color that by green color. You see, you notice those are the thing that I input directly. Cool. So those cost missing costs, you can put whatever color you want. It doesn't matter. You see those missing costs. So once you input those costs, you should get this cost. Let me change into let's say you should get this cost 119,620, and your project should be as statistic should be equivalent to 77 days, 119, 620, and the work hours. You should get this the same work hours unless your working hours is less than what we already determined. So that's why the setting is very important. Some of you might not be getting the same answer because of the setting of hours might not be correct. Okay, then so if you input all those costs, so basically you are getting the right information. Then what else? Let's go back to another issue is basically the issue of carpenter. Carpenter is basically just to show you that Microsoft project will give all kind of indicator. It is for us to react. Okay, how do you react? Is by adjusting something. Okay, so in our situation, I already show you the issue of resource leveling. Microsoft project do have what we call leveling function, but then when you click leveling function, the project might be shifted into a new project duration, which might not be in your liking. So never mind. That is one of the option. If you do not want, you just clear the leveling here, resource leveling there. And what I did is I basically increased the resources to 16. Okay. So now we already finished on our work program. Okay, before we close this file, let me show you the Gantt chart. No, no, not the Gantt chart, the network diagram. Click on network diagram.
Sir, I do have question.
Yeah, sure.
Because in the error button, I have
Okay, the
uh,
indent.
yeah, the error button there, I have this error saying that this task has a start no earlier than constraint on the uh, 3rd of January 2022. I mean, how do I get rid of that error button?
The arrow button for which task?
This one is the indicator. Sorry, the indicator
Okay, the indicator, all right.
saying that I have this task has a start no earlier than constraint of certain dates. I mean, what does it means? What does
Uh,
it? Yeah.
the indicator, where does the indicator show? Where is the location of the indicator? Where is it?
Indicator next to the task mode, the I.
Okay, all right. On which task?
Uh,
Which row? Row number 1, 2, 3, 4.
Row number 5, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13.
Oh,
So I'm not quite sure. I think I've changed the change working time, everything. So I'm not quite sure why do I have this constraint.
how many days is your project? 77?
No, I couldn't achieve
Okay, how?
151 days.
Okay. All right. That could be the issue with regard to your option. When you click your option, do you click the fixed duration, the
Okay,
option
option schedule.
file? When you click on file and then option,
Okay.
schedule there.
Mm-hmm.
So do you click on fixed duration? What it is
Fixed
shown there.
duration.
And then how about the
All, all same.
new tasks are driven? Is it clicked?
Unchecked. It's unchecked.
Unchecked. Huh? Okay. All right.
But all
So
my days, everything is the same except that I have this indicator.
indicator.
Yeah.
Mhm. How about the duration for each of your activity? Is it the same as the original or has been changed?
Uh,
Duration.
um, Duration is the same. Like for example, foundation for zone A is 45, zone B is 39,
Mm-hmm.
but the foundation overall work is
Mm.
123.
Foundation overall work.
Yeah.
Overall,
So I'm not quite sure why is this, even
mm.
same with the site work. Site
Uh-huh.
work for the zone A, I have 21 days, and the zone B is 22 days.
All right, okay. But the site work is 31 days.
Ah,
Is it? Site work. How many days? Site work. The yellow one, the first row.
105.
105.
But
uh,
I am not quite sure what does it means by this task has a start no earlier than.
I'm not sure whether, because I need to look at the file and then I need to click a few things. You can double click on the file on the each of the tasks and then you can take a look at the constraint, whether I don't know whether uh, you miss basically click on certain thing, then only I can give you
Okay,
the
then I
answer
will
then.
copy back again. Maybe I copied something wrong somewhere.
Yeah, you can send me the file. You can save the file. Then you can send me your file now so that I can take a look. What could be the issue? Then only I can give you the answer.
Okay, maybe after this class.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
All right then. Okay. So let's say if you didn't get the right answer, that's okay. You can go back the video later on. Okay, I already give you the Microsoft Word, Microsoft exercise in Word. There are two videos from pre-recorded videos. Actually, it is the same, except that the date that I use for the project might be different, but the concept is the same anyway. So anyway, okay, now, so if for instance, okay, let me click on network diagram. Okay, so this is the network diagram. You see, if you click on network diagram, this is what we call PDM diagram in our lecture. Okay, AON, PDM, because we do have lag and lead, whatnot. So uh, then it is called PDM diagram. But in this Microsoft project, they just simply call network diagram. So it is okay. So you notice the red color is the critical path, critical task, whereas the blue one is just simply non-critical activities. Okay, so what else should I show you? And then another thing, if you click on this small box here, go to schedule. You see, the start, basically the early start, and then early finish. So Microsoft project only give you in term of date. They do not give you in term of the numbers that we learn in our class. So that is the concept. And perhaps Primavera do have that option, okay, but not the Microsoft project. And then this is the late start, late finish in terms of date. Free slack. Free slack is equivalent to free float. In scheduling, they do not use the word float. They just simply use the word slack. Total slack meaning to say total float. Okay. All right. So, and there are a lot more, but we are not going to click on those things yet. Okay. So entry is the default. Okay, now this is a file that you should get the same answer as mine. And this is the one that you will basically submit. But we do not complete yet the work. Okay, if it is asking us to save changes, yes, we do not save anything, I think. Okay, now we already finished on this work. So I already save. Okay, make sure we already save. Then I will close this file. I will close this file. Okay, I will close this file, and then I will also close the Excel. I do not need this Excel file anymore. Okay. All right. Now let's go to our file management. Okay, click on folder management. Okay, remember initially we already created this three folder, and our file is basically in original folder number one, namely Rahim. Okay, so now what I do, I just simply copy this file and then save, put into folder number 2, paste into folder number 2, and then also paste into folder number 3. Okay, now all those 3 folders have the same file name. Okay, so folder number 1, original, is the one that you do not want to touch. This is what we call backup plan, backup file. Anything goes wrong with the file that you are working on the next folder, at least you have those original file you keep. That is the purpose. Okay, we already completed on folder number 1. Now we want to move into folder number 2. Okay, folder number 2 is for us to generate values. You will learn later on, maybe by next week, you will learn about project monitoring and control. Project monitoring and control is one thing. Cash flow, okay? About cash flow, project cash flow. So in that project monitoring and control, for instance, it is always a practice that we submit the progress claim, or even we want to know what is our progress, and we show in terms of S-curve, physical S-curve and financial S-curve. And how are we going to get those things from our Microsoft project? Can we get those things? That is the issue. And we are going to do that in folder number 2 exercise. Okay, click on folder number 2, you open up. Then, in order to not to mess up with whatever different folder, okay, so we are going to rename this thing by putting underscore, and then we put it P as plan, okay, P as plan. So we are going to generate a target values inside this folder. So, okay, I already put underscore P so that I know P basically coming from the plan folder, which is folder number 2. Then I open up this file, double click, so it is open, and it is exactly the same file as in original. I do not do anything except change the name only. So we are going to work with this folder, okay, to generate value for the S-curve. Okay, before we go there, S-curve is very easy. The issue is that for physical progress, Microsoft project do not give us one graph that show the physical progress. As I know, I'm not really sure whether they already have, okay, but even though they have, the issue is that sometimes you want the data to be according to what the client want. Maybe the client want every 1 month, or even for a small project like what we are doing now, we want to generate data for every 2 weeks, or for every week. Then how do we do that? Yes, we can do that. Okay, now we are going to go into that. But before we go into that, okay, let me show you in terms of S-curve. Let's click on, where is it? Report. Click on report. Click on visual report. Click on visual report. Then click on cash flow report. And then you can change the, what we call the interval here. Okay, interval here using days, week, month, quarter, years, and etc. I choose to use week because we are going to generate data on weekly purposes. Click and then click view and see what we are going to get. So that's why sometimes when you install your Microsoft project, when you go to visual report, it doesn't show this kind of thing because the issue with your Excel. That is the issue. Sometimes it is a computer issue. Okay, we do experience that thing with my other computer. Other people also experience the same thing. Okay, now you are getting this kind of graph. What kind of graph is this? It looks very funny. So don't worry. You notice that here at the bottom here, chart 1 and task usage. You have to click task usage, then you will see this data. So the issue with Microsoft project, it used the concept of quarter. Now, quarter Q1. Q1 means to say because our project start on January, so that will be in the range of Q1. If you start the project now is June, that will be on the second quarter, second or fourth quarter, something like that. That is the concept. Okay, so you need to click on this one to expand the value. Otherwise, the value will be there. So you see, week 1 until week 12, week 11. So our project will be 11 weeks. And you know what? The cost is already, the cash flow, the cumulative cash flow is already tabulated here. And if you click on chart, this is your so-called S-curve, which might not look very nice because sometimes it is auto-generated. Well, the most important thing, you already had the value. So you can copy this value and put into Excel and then create whatever graph that you like. So the most important thing for our project now, let's say we assume every 2 weeks, I am going to generate a data to present my progress. So the data is already here. Okay, the data is already here. You can highlight here, every 2 weeks. Okay, but this is in terms of financial only, not in terms of what we call physical. Okay, and the last one is basically here. Okay, so you notice this is the value. Okay, 19,000, 37,000, 60,000, 78,000, 1111 and 115, and then 119 is the end of the project. So the data is here already, and the data is being represented by the end of second week, fourth week, sixth week, 8th week, 10th week, and the last one is the 11th week. Okay, so the data is readily available for the cash flow. But how about for physical progress? That will be the issue. Okay, that will be the issue. So what I'm going to show you now, which you are going to do the same thing in folder number 2, how to generate data. Okay, let me close this Excel first. If you already generate, you can basically save for learning purposes. I don't have to save here. Okay, don't save. I just simply close this, close the Excel, not the Microsoft project. Okay, now I want to show you how to generate those graph. Okay, before we do that, let me open up the S-curve that I already shared with you. Okay, in your e-learning, you already have this data. You notice that, let's say, financial and physical progress. What we are plotting right now, okay, we are just plotting is basically the value for here. 2 weeks, the computer give us 19,000, but in the what we call accuracy, in accuracy it should be 19,040, little bit more. And then on this will be on the second week, and the fourth week will be here 50,000. The sixth week will be on here, and the rest will be here. So the issue is that, let's say we want to generate this value. How do we get this value? 19,000, 37,000. We already know from regional report, that would be one thing. But how about the physical progress? How do we get this value? 0%, 15%, 33%, 55%, etc., etc. So let's say this is what we call, in folder number 2, we call it plan, or in another word, we call it target. Our tentative target. We expect in the next few 2 weeks, our project should progress 15%. The next 4 weeks will be 33%. So how do we generate that value? This is what the exercise in folder number 2 is all about. Okay, so, and you know what? Once you have this value, what we are going to do is basically, you see, we are going to generate this kind of graph. This is physical progress, and this one is what we call financial progress. How do we get this thing? It's from folder number 2. Okay, now let me show you this exercise. Okay, what we are going to do. Okay, so you have to follow very closely. First thing first, let me make this thing smaller. Okay, I can erase WBS, hide WBS column, hide column, because I don't need that thing. I want to show two extra column, insert column, percent complete. Percent complete is similar to physical progress. That is the definition in Microsoft project. Don't get confused. Sometimes they do have physical program. Physical progress is meant for tasks, not physical progress as I meant in this class. Okay, so percent complete is the physical progress that we refer to, and then another column, insert column, is the actual cost. So this percent complete and actual cost is similar to this value that we want. Physical progress, this value as we indicate in blue color, and then financial progress as I indicate in this blue color. Okay, we want to generate the value for every 2 weeks. Let's assume the graph is every 2 weeks based on this graph, every 2 weeks. Okay, you can do it in 1 month, but if you do it in 1 month, then mean to say maybe our project is only 77 days, so you will get only three values in the graph. That is not good. Okay, now let's go back to our Microsoft project. So please add column percent complete and column actual cost. Then only you will see the value will appear directly onto this. Okay, now how to do that? First thing first, there are a few steps. First step, click on project, click on project. When you click on project, we are going to set the target, current date and status date every 2 weeks. Okay, now click on current date. Go to the first day of our project. Is basically January is the first day of our project. So if it is 2 weeks, 1st January until 7th January will be 1 week, and then 8 until 14, that will be the end of 2 weeks. So let's say 14 is the end of 2 weeks. First target. Okay, our first target is the next 2 weeks, or from the start of the project. Then status date, we also change. Go to our project date, also 14th of January. So remember, set both date on the same target date. Let's say 2 weeks after our project start, and then click OK. Okay, so nothing happened yet. That will be the first step. Set the date, 2 weeks, or whatever interval you want. This is just example, 2 weeks. And then next step is basically update project. Click update project. And you notice the date is already there, okay, which is the one that we want. And then click OK. All right, now the computer already calculated for us and give us this value. So if the computer asks you to change and to save, don't save yet, because we are going to save under different name. Okay, you notice this is this value is basically the one that what being shown in the Excel. So you notice this value 15, and then on 14th of January, okay, 14th of January, this is the value that we generate, 15% as physical progress, and then we should have completed the project worth of 19,000 ringgit. So this is what the Microsoft project is telling us. This is what we call target. Okay, so you should record this thing in your whatever table if you want, but don't worry, we are going to save this thing as a file. Then this is what we call file management, because once you update into different date, so this value will disappear. It will be replaced by different value. So in order not to let go this value, we can save into different file. Okay, before we go that, if you click under project information statistic, here, you notice that 19,000 is here. This is how much the project supposed to be spent. This is what we call target. And duration, this is what we call percent complete in terms of duration. The physical progress that we learn or the construction industry has been used so far worldwide is based on the duration calculation. Later on, you will learn in other class. Dr. Nandira will explain that thing for you. But now, because I'm showing you in terms of Microsoft project, perhaps you will get that kind of idea. Work. Okay, work is basically just simply unit, time, duration. Okay, why it is different? Because the calculation is different. It's based on unit, time, duration. But if we are looking at the physical progress, this could be the value. Some of the practitioner, they would like to use this value because they say that it is more logic. So it depends. Once you understand the fundamental, then basically then you understand what does this value mean. Okay, but for us, we are just going to use the physical based on duration and then the actual cost. So you already get this value, and then you put into whatever table that you might create for your own purposes. But then later on, once you complete all those information, you can just try to draw a chart, okay, by yourself, whether you get the same chart or not. Okay, now, okay, that be, you see, the tick, the tick, what we call indicator, indicate this task is already completed by target. Okay, now what you need to do, file, you have to save this file as. Later on, you will know why do we need to save as, because this is the learning process. Okay, you put into the plan folder, then you put under 14 January. 14 January. You can put the date, the year, doesn't matter. 14 January, then click save. Okay, because we are going to use the same file in order to update for the next 2 more weeks. Because remember, our scale in this graph is basically for every 2 weeks. Okay, now let's do the same process again. Remember, the process is basically you click project information, then set date. The next 2 week, the next two week will be 28 January. Then this one is also 28 January. Then click OK. That will be first step. Then update project. 28 January is there, and then click OK. You see, now the computer is giving you the target. Okay, the next 2 more weeks, meaning to say week number 4, you are supposed to complete the project 33% physically, and then the cost will be 37,480, which is the same as what we indicate here on 28th of January. See this value here. Okay, once you do that, remember to save file as. Later on, you will appreciate why you need to save file as 28. Okay, click save. All right, so that will be the 4th week. And how about the 6th week? So again, okay, the next 6th week will be on 11 of February. And then this one is also 11 of February. Click OK. Update project, 11 February. Then you see 55%, 50,000. Click File, Save As. Okay, now we are into 11 February. Click Save. And you notice this value 55 and 50,000 is the one, you see, is the one that we record here. Okay. All right. So we already saved. This is the third what we call interval in our progress update thing. The first one is basically the first 2 weeks. Second one is the 4th week. The third one is the 6th week. Now we are getting into the 8th week. Okay. So again, project information. So the next 2 weeks would be on 25th of February. And then 25th of February, click OK. Then update project on 25th, click OK. You see, now the value is given there. Save, don't forget to save as 25th of February and click save. So there you go. Now, so this is the how many weeks we have gone through. Okay. Okay, now we do have 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, the 8th week. Now we go into the 10 weeks. Okay, 11 March. Okay, now let's click again the same process, 25th, and then the 11 March. 11 March. So we almost going to complete the project. Update project, 11 March. Click OK. See, 95%. One more round. Save as 11 March. Okay, we almost complete our project. Remember, our project is the end at 18th of March. So we almost completed and then save. You see, now, so we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th data, and the last one is basically the last date of our project. And do we have to generate the data? Actually, no need, because you already know on the last day of the project, that would be what we call, for sure it should be 100%. And this one should be the equivalent to the total cost. If you don't believe me, then we can do the rest of the date. Okay, project information, and then the end of the project is 18. So the end of our project is 18. Click OK. Update project, 18. Click OK. See, for sure it is 100%, 119. This is where we begin with. What we are doing is basically, we just simply let the Microsoft project generate data according to the interval that we want. We want every 2 weeks. So now I can, if you want, which is not necessary, okay, so that you will appreciate the why we are doing these things. So now you already have all the data and it is saved in folder number 2. So when you get those things, meaning to say, in folder number 2, you will get all this blue color data. When you get this blue color data, if you plot a chart here, so the blue one is being what we call draw here. This is the value for physical, and then this one is for financial. You see the value in terms of ringgit Malaysia. You can convert into percentage if you want. Just simply divide whatever the value per weekly with the total value you will get in terms of percentage, but for the cost. Okay, but I'm now showing you just in terms of the amount. Okay, so you will get the blue color. But how about the red one? Oh, we have not gone into the red graph yet. So that will be our next step. So if you already done that and save all the things that you need to save under the right date, okay, so meaning to say you already complete the work in folder number 2. Okay, let me save again. So now folder number 2 we already finished. So what we need to do is basically just close this file. Okay, now we go back to our folder, this folder. You notice that we start with the original, which is the first part of the exercise. We already finished. And then we just completed folder number 2. You notice that suddenly there are all the file with different date is there. This is the one that we have been doing. Okay, we get the values and we can basically note down the value into Excel in terms of table so that we can basically draw the physical progress, financial progress. Okay, so we already completed on folder number 2. Now we want to move into folder number 3. Okay, double click on folder number 3. Remember, we must change the file name into a proper file name so that we are not going to get confused. I put underscore A. A stands for actual. So we know that the file basically belongs to basically folder number 3. Okay, we open up this file. Okay, first thing first, you must remember. Uh, Folder number 3 is meant for updating the project. Updating in project scheduling, they call it tracking. In project management, we call it project monitoring. Okay, project monitoring is the purpose is to get the data based on actual works. Let's assume on first day, 1st January 2022, then our project will start. Then it will progress for 2 weeks. For sure, when it is being progressed, for sure we are going to have the data, the real data as what is going on with the project, and we need to update that into our project scheduling. That is what we call project tracking, project monitoring, or project updating. So how are we going to generate the data based on the real work activity? Okay, so now we are working on folder number 3 in this file. So which one should we start first? Okay, first thing first, remember, folder number 3 should be saved into baseline. What is baseline? Okay, if you click on project, you notice that there is a one button here, set baseline. Okay, baseline is just like taking selfie. Let's say you want to make comparison between yourself now and perhaps 10 years from now, whether you are getting thinner or fatter, you should basically take a selfie of yourself. Otherwise, you cannot compare. Similarly, scheduling is like that. You need to basically log the whatever all the values, take picture, and then when the project progress, then only you can make comparison what is going on now and then what is basically originally you plan for. Then only the computer can give you so-called variant. Variant is the differences between what we call plan and then actual. The difference between what you plan and then what is actually happened. Otherwise, the computer cannot give you that information because you do not log the value at the beginning. So now we want to set as baseline as if we are taking selfie of all, not only the information that you see here, but behind the one that you see here, all the data. Okay, How do you know that whether the project is being saved as in a baseline or not? Sometimes you are getting a file and you do not know. Well, it is very simple. You click on project information, click on statistic. You notice here, baseline here, 0, 0, 0. Meaning to say the project now is not being saved into baseline yet. Okay, that would be one of the way. Then another way, which we are going to use, okay, before we do that, okay, let me delete the WBS hide column and let insert the same column that we already did in folder number 2, because we want to make comparison. Comparison should be based on the same thing. Complete and percent complete, and then insert actual cost. Okay, now this is the same 2 column found in folder number 2. Okay, now the issue with the save baseline. Okay, let click on task. You see the Gantt chart here. If you click here, you notice there is a tracking gun at the end of the here. There is click on tracking gun. Okay, and then that show the tracking gun. You see, this is the view in terms of tracking gun. So don't get confused. If you couldn't get this thing, initially it was on gun chart, but then I just simply choose tracking gun. Okay, because I want to show you whether the project is being saved as baseline or not. Now it is not being saved in the baseline yet because each of the tasks do have one what we call bar only. If we save into baseline, then you will see there are 2 bars will appear. Okay, now let's save the baseline. So remember, folder number 3, you need to save the file into baseline. Okay, let's click on project. Okay, set baseline. Set baseline or clear baseline. Okay, sometimes the issue is that when you make a mistake, before you even start a project, you can clear a baseline. But if the project is already running, you cannot delete the history. The history will be there. Okay. So perhaps you want to revise, then basically you can save into a different baseline. But now we are doing the first thing first. So we set the baseline, and you notice there are many baseline that you can set. That is for the revised purposes. But for the first time, you set into this one baseline, then you click OK. You notice what will happen to this Gantt chart. See, there are 2 bars. And if you move your mouse here, the bottom one would be called baseline, whereas the top bar would be the bar based on the actual progress. Okay, actual progress. And if you click on project information statistic, you notice that what would happen to this baseline? So it will copy the original values. So this is what we call the benchmark. Now the benchmark has been set. It is like doing the survey. Whatever it is, the elevation is based on benchmark. Benchmark has to be set first. Then only you will know whether that level is lower or higher than the original level. Okay, now we already save into baseline. Okay, now let's do some project updating. But I'm just going to give you one sample only because the rest would be repetitious. Okay, so you only need to do one updating work only based on one date. Meaning to say next 14 days. Okay, if you look at this what we call this Gantt chart, next 14 days. Okay, maybe you cannot see in terms of days. Okay, why don't we click on this scale, double click. You know what? This scale can be changed into whatever thing that you want. Let's say the bottom tier, I change into day so that I can day 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I click OK. So you see, now I can see things much better in terms of the first day of work until the end of 77 days. You notice that if I want to update the project for 14, the first 14 days, meaning to say day number 1 until day number 14 here. So it looks like on the first 2 weeks of work, it looks like survey and setting out should have started and should have completed by right. And then second activity, earthwork zone A, should somehow started, but still ongoing because we only update for the first 14 days. And then survey and setting out zone A and zone B should be basically started, but it is still ongoing. So you notice that the first 14 days, it is not so much activity that you need to update, only 3 activity. The rest might not be even started. Let uh, let that be the assumption. Okay, in reality, you can take a look at that time zone. So updating work, it is not that difficult. Basically, you need to update only what is the reality. The rest, basically, you don't have to touch. It is because you already link all those things with the predecessor and whatnot. Automatically, they will be pushed back if there is a delay. So we just want to focus on the 3 activities. So how do we do the updating work? Okay, now it is a little bit different. If you ask the experienced people, they might have do updating in different way. You can straightforward do, but this is my way, just step by step. Maybe it is easier that way for you to start the updating. Okay, what you need to do is you only select if the computer is asking for you to save no, because you do not save as yet because you are still in the process of updating. Okay, what you need to do is that select one by one of the activity that you want to update. Okay, we select with the survey and setting out zone A first. Then what you need to do is go to the task menu. Under here, mark on track here, there is a one item you need to update task. You can update manually like this. Okay, there is a 10%, 20%, whatever, if you already know the percentage, but I would like to do something like this. Click on update task. Okay, so one dialog box will be here. Then this dialog box you need to answer. So the computer will ask you what is the actual start date of the project. So for sure, if the activity is already started, in reality, you must basically know the date. So that is the date that you will use, regardless of whether it is according to schedule or not, doesn't matter, but that is the real date. Let's assume the project start on the same date as the project date. So we have no issue with that. Let's say on the 1st January. Okay, so it start on the same day. Then, if the activity is already completed, for sure you already know the activity date. So that activity date is the one that you need to put it here, finish date. Let's assume, supposingly, the activity is supposed to be completed on 9th of January. Okay, let's find January. So it was supposed to be 9, but now we put a little bit twist. Instead of finishing on 9, it finished on 11 day. So that's it. This is the information that you need to input. If the activity is already completed, for sure you already know the start date and then ending date. So please put the real date inside here, and then you click OK. Okay. Now you see, the computer already put some values. So this is already updated progress. Once you update one activity, so the computer is already giving you 8%, but this is only one activity, but you are focusing for a few more activity, 3 more activities. So the work is not completed yet, but you notice one thing here on this blue color, what we call bar chart, it shows that the activity is basically running late by 2 days, and at the end, the issue is that it will push the other activity because those activities are interrelated. So the start of those activities will be pushed accordingly. So that's why the computer will ask you about the button there that I click OK. So meaning to say it will follow in accordance to whatever the first activity is running late. And now the project is running late by 2 days already. Okay. So that would be the first activity update. So we continue with the second activity update for the first 4 weeks, 2 weeks here. Okay, the second activity is earthwork at zone A. So it looks like earthwork already started, but for sure it is still in progress. Okay, let's assume based on the real measurement at site, we assume that the earthwork is only around 20% completed based on the quantity that we calculated. Okay, so those information is needed in order for us to update the next activity. Update task number 4. Okay, let's say start date. Current 12, let's say we follow the current date 12 January there. Okay, we have no issue with that. Even though it is being shifted, yeah, that is the date 12. Okay, but then the project is still ongoing. You do not know the finish date, but you do know one thing. How much is the project that activity is completed? Let's say we assume 20%. So those are the information that you only need to input. Other than that, don't touch anything. Then click OK. So now you see, now the progress is being shown a little bit up. Okay. Then the third one, survey and setting out zone B. It looks like the activity is already started, so in progress, but we do not know how much is the progress. You notice that the first one is 20%. Let's say we assume that the third activity that we want to update, it looks like from the quantity, it looks like 10%. That would be our assumption. So we do the same thing again. Update the task. The date, we use the same date as the end of the first activity there, 12th of January. And then we assume it is 10%. So you click OK. All right, so this is the value that we get. See, supposingly to be 10%, and then this is the value that we get. Okay, 11, and then this one is 11 and 12, 1200 and 12,200. So meaning to say our project is running late. So if it is running late, then we are not spending that much because we do not pay for the full activity. So this value is the one that I input it into here. You see, the one shown in yellow here, 12,200 is the value of the actual money being spent so far. Meaning to say we do not spend 90,000 because we are running late. We only spent 12,000. And then in folder number 3, the progress is only 11%. So meaning to say we are running late also. So if you already have this value, then basically variance is being calculated, the difference between actual and plan. Either it is progress, physical progress or financial progress. And if you plot into the graph, then you see the green color is the variance. You can basically put into this thing. You know how do you draw a chart? It's very easy. You just basically here highlight the whole box and then insert into Excel in terms of graph. You can choose whatever graph. Then that graph will appear, then you can modify. So that's how you draw this, basically the progress graph. The blue color is basically the target, and then the red one is basically the actual, and the green one is basically the variance. Okay, So I do update for only one cycle, meaning to say the first 2 weeks only. Then don't forget, file save as. Save as in folder number 3. Okay, then you put underscore 14 January. This is in folder number 3, and then you click save. Okay, so you notice that there is a tick button here. Okay, why don't we take a look at network diagram? You see, you can see here, the one being indicated as cross, total cross here, is basically activity which is completed. Half cross indicate the what we call activity which is partially in progress, partially completed, and the rest basically not in progress yet. So this is an example of when you learn about monitoring, project monitoring and control later on, maybe next week. You will notice that there are many ways that we can monitor the progress. One of the way is basically by showing our updated Gantt chart. Okay, updated Gantt chart. This is the way to show in terms of network diagram. But then there are so many things that we can show in terms of comparison. We can show in terms of tracking, see how many percentage is there. And then we can show in terms of variance, okay, baseline, etc., etc. And then we can show in terms of summary, okay, we can show in terms of schedule, etc., etc. Okay, so previously in folder number 1 or even two, because we have not updated the project, so that the variant, etc., will not be appear. Okay, so I already saved into file name actual and 14 January. Okay, then this is basically the end of the exercise for folder number 3. I only show you one data. The rest basically the same. If we know the data, then we can update, but that's it. I just want to show you only one. Okay, that is how we update the project. And lastly, before we end our class, if you click on report, here on report, you notice there is a, here there is a one menu, we call it compare project. You can click compare project and then you can browse. Then the computer will ask you the current file, which I'm using the actual 14 January. I want to compare with plan, the same 14 January. Click open. And then I click OK. Then we shall see what is going on. Okay, now the computer will show you something. You see, now these two, this window here, this one is basically actual file. The right hand side here at the bottom here is basically the plan file based on the same date. And you can drag each of the file in order to make to see the comparison. Each of the item, which one is basically running late. So that is the reason why we basically save file into different date. We call it folder management in order to trace back what could be the issues. If you do not do that, then basically there is no way that you can compare. If you want to compare, so there is nothing wrong not to compare, but that is the concept anyway. All right, so that is basically the exercise that you need to basically follow based on my explanation, and then later on you can watch video again and again. You do that and then save into 3 folder. Okay, by right, you should submit to me the 3 folder, original, plan, and actual. So each of the folder should have all these file the same basically date that I used to give you example there, and basically submit to my email, what we call email rahim.master.kl that I give you, that will earn you 10%. Okay, by the way, we are not going to have final exam for this class. Okay, for this semester, we are not going to have final exam. So final exam marks will be replaced by extra assignment. So this is part of the extra assignment. So the 30% assignment, 30% mark will be based on assignment 1 and 2. And then 10% will be based on this exercise. And then 5% will be based on quiz number 1, which you already did on the first day of our meeting. And then quiz number 2 will be another 5%, which I already share in the e-learning. Okay, so if you submit that, then basically you will earn 50% of the grade for my part. So the rest will be coming from Dr. Nadira. So all the assignment, Microsoft project exercise, and quiz number 2 for my side will be due on the 4th of July, even though I give you assignment due much earlier, but now we shift into the 4th of July. So everything will be 4th of July. Okay. Then quiz number 2. Let's go into quiz number 2. Okay. Okay. In your Microsoft project, okay, I also share this file. You can click file in Microsoft Word. So the file looks like this. Okay. So this is the setting for the project. If, for instance, you want to duplicate what we already mentioned, so this is the setting for January and everything. And then basically you do that, and then you submit the 3 folder, and then you can go to this part 1 and part 2 video, which is the same video pre-recorded from previous session. The only difference is basically they are using different start date. So basically the concept is the same. You can go for Bahasa Malaysia shorter version of the video. And then if you want to learn more about Microsoft project, there is a short video, not by me, but by other people in order to understand. And if you want to go for version 2019 YouTube about Microsoft project, you can go to this link. 2016, you can go to this link. And then if you want to know everything about Microsoft project, you can go for 6 hours crash course, this link. You can learn Microsoft project until you die also. There are so many information in the YouTube. Okay, so this is information about Microsoft project. Then quiz number 2. Okay, if you open up quiz number 2, this is it's not a difficult quiz anyway, but it is not going to be due until 4th of July also. Okay, I give you a small project. Okay, ID, and then task name, duration, days, number of hourly workers, number of link workers, and then subcontractor works, and then the activity are shown here. Okay, you can basically develop manually, but once you already know how to use Microsoft project, why don't you use Microsoft project? It is much faster that way. If you want to use Microsoft project, then basically you can input the start date as July 1st, 6 days per week. Basically Sunday is a holiday. The working hours we remain 8 to 5. And then if you input into computer, perhaps at the end of the day, for sure project start date is 1st of July. So that would be the answer already. So we want to know the project finish date. What could be the finish date? How many days you need to complete the project in terms of project duration? How much is the cost? What could be the critical path? You can easily get from your Microsoft project if you do that. What are the maximum number of Ali and Link workers? How to get this thing? You can get this thing from resource sheet. You will know if the Ali people is not sufficient. You will get the red person indicator there. Then you can increase the value. That will be the maximum number of Ali and Link workers. And then how to get the cost? Well, the Subra is basically subcon. So those activity are being done by Subra, but the Link, the Ali and Link workers are shown here for selected activity. So the Ali workers, basically the payment is basically RM1 per day. So without putting into Microsoft project, you can easily calculate, but why don't you use the knowledge that you already learned in order to solve this simple exercise, okay? So all in all, Microsoft project you can do in 1 hour after you've gone through this explanation, and even this quiz number 2 will be less than 1 hour. So it is not that much anyway. Okay, now I open up for question and answer. So that will be the end of our session. Any question from the floor?
Lecture for the quiz assignment, also the previous one, the 30%. All of these will be submitted on 4th of July, right?
Yeah, you are right.
All together.
Yes,
Okay.
but you use into the same email, but you can split the email name quiz number 2, and then another email could be Microsoft project exercise. Then another email could be assignment. Yeah, you can split into different email.
Oh, it could be the same file, right?
Yeah,
okay.
You can do that.
Okay, thank you.
How many people in our class? We do have only 8 people. Are we missing somebody? Is that all? Or somebody had to drop from this class? Okay, so any more question? If there is no more question, that's it from me. And tomorrow, that will be the end of my class for this semester. And tomorrow, Dr. Nadira will take over and we'll go through a few more topics. It will not be that difficult anymore because most of the heavy part will be already taken care of. All right, thank you for coming to the class.
Lecture, and one more thing, can you please share the videos in the group so we can take it as a reference?
Yeah, okay. Inshallah, I will need to convert those things first, then later on I will upload.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right then. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Assalamualaikum and have a good day.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Rahim.
Thank
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.